Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Jim Hovland. It is Friday, June 5th, 2020, a beautiful day in Minnesota. This is your Mayor's Minute. Last week, actually, since Memorial Day, the death of George Floyd has created worldwide empathy for his family and I would say universal global anger about what occurred. And you may have been a person that went yourself or brought your family to a vigil last week or a rally or maybe one of the protests. And the Minnesota Department of Public Health is concerned about everybody that was in close proximity to each other for one of these events. So if you participated in a protest or a vigil last week for George Floyd or the weekend after the killing of George Floyd, we need to have you go and get some testing done to protect yourself and your family. Also, if you helped with community cleanup or recovery efforts in Minneapolis or St. Paul, where they did such a terrific job of getting things cleaned up, you also should consider getting tested for COVID-19. As I mentioned, the Minnesota Department of Health recommends that anyone who participated in any of those recent mass events or helped with the cleanup or the response in any other way should get tested for COVID-19. You know, we had 3 rallies in Edina alone. And those folks that were involved in those rallies should think seriously about getting tested. There were thousands of people, of course, that may have been exposed, according to the Minnesota Department of Health. And with a large concentration of people in one area, that's certainly a possibility. Testing individuals who may have participated in a large public event will improve the state's ability to identify cases and institute appropriate isolation and quarantine measures. So if you were involved in such an event on or after May 25th, you are urged by the Minnesota Department of Health to get tested, even if you are not showing any symptoms. And because the incubation period for the virus following infection is about 5 days, anyone who participated in a mass gathering last week or last weekend should be able to be tested now. Besides those who participated in mass gatherings, other priority groups for testing are symptomatic people, asymptomatic people working in congregate living facilities, and staff working in high-risk settings such as hospitals, clinics, shelters, and prisons. The CARES Act requires that COVID testing is covered without cost sharing. You can find a testing location, and you'll see that information on the screen at mn.gov/COVID-19. That's mn.gov/COVID-19. So make sure if you participated in any of these events, whether it was in Minneapolis, St. Paul, or even here in Edina, you participated in a vigil last week for George Floyd, please go get tested. This is Jim Hovland. This is your Mayor's Minute for Friday, June 5th, 2020. Stay healthy, get tested if you're at one of these events, and have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.